this started because I would really like to interview Creatress, and I don't really need all that many people to be present right now for me to get this done because I think that we will have more people filter in as the interview rolls. But I got questions, and I hope that Creatress can provide some answers. So again, thank you to everybody for showing up. We're gonna get this kicked off today. Things are a little bit disjointed this evening, but that doesn't mean we won't still have a wonderful interview and a fabulous conversation. So without any further ado, I'm ready from Burrito. Absent this week is Kat Russell from Block Party, and this is typically our Block Party Burrito conjoined spaces. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. Austin, thank you so much for filling in as co-host, and then thank you very much, Creatress, for being here. We know that there's a lot of things you guys could be doing with your time, and we're very grateful you decided to spend some of that with us this evening. This is a recorded space, so if you missed any part of this interview, be sure to check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere that you guys get your podcasts. So thank you very much. And without further ado, Creatress, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Um, my name is Sara E. Mora. For those of you who didn't know, I do go by Creatress. But I was born Sara E. Mora, born in Mexico, raised there, and the second kind of part of my life, I was in San Diego, which is pretty close to where I was born, just on the other side of the US Mexico border. And so I am an immigrant to the US, legal immigrant, might I add. My mom is from the US, she's from LA, and my dad's from Mexico. So I'm kind of a nice little mix of both worlds. And I've gotten a chance to live on both sides. Um, feel very fortunate to be here. And now I landed in Maui. So pretty far from where I began, but I really really love nature. I've always lived near the beach. I was born in Rosarito Beach, and then, as you know, San Diego is a coastal town. So the ocean and nature and plants are like a big part of my inspiration for a lot of my art. Um, I went to art school in San Diego, and I studied just about every medium that I could get my hands on. So, think clay, ceramics, think glass blowing, think watercolor, think oil painting, acrylic, installations, creating sculptures with found objects and plants, to now VR. So I specifically make in VR. I make 3D sculptures, which I feel like is just an extension of like I mentioned, the pottery and the ceramics and the glass sculpting. And now in 3D for me, I just feel like it's not as restrictive when it comes to materials. So I really, really like sculpting in VR because of all of that, freedom to express yourself, big or small, or, in whatever materials you like. And that kind of evolved into performance art. So I've also been really into performing throughout my life, starting with dance. I did Balinese dance. I played violin. I also played gamelan, which is a Balinese orchestra, and I learned that instrument at the same time as I learned Balinese dance. So yeah, I've just done a lot of different things. I also did theater a little bit in college. So just bringing all those things is into one kind of art practice is kind of what I've been doing. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm known as kind of a VR performance artist, and hopefully that gave you a quick little intro into how that happened.
It most definitely did. It's very interesting to hear about your like foundational experience of immersing yourself in so many different mediums and being so like I guess, tactically invested in the physical world to eventually make the departure to go like fully digital is a very interesting transition. And I'm curious as to whether you feel that this was just a natural progression of like the advancement of your work, or you saw something new and were specifically determined to involve yourself with that.
I think it was a little bit of both. You know, I just always loved technology, and I've always liked being that person who's tried everything. You know, I like to try everything once, at least art forms. I'm talking art forms here, guys. But you know, like I want to try every art form at least just one time, just to see if it vibes with me, if it's something I want to incorporate. And I feel like every single thing that you learn makes you better when you're putting on any future work, right? Because you can take one skill from glass blowing, for example, and like one skill from basic drawing, and then be so much better like 10 years later just because you learned that earlier on. So um I'm really into that part, but also I've always had a determination to be a full-time artist. And you know, like I've always wanted to have my work in a museum. um I've always been into also music. That's a big thing for me, which I think is part of why I kind of like went the route of performance art, and especially with music, because all my performances have music, and are heavily influenced by it. But going to concerts, getting to see like feel the energy of the audience from backstage, that always like really kind of excited me, and I always wanted to kind of explore that whole relationship between the audience and the performer. So I kind of specifically focused on finding a way to bring my art practice into like to being a more performative type of practice. I just think that's it's really fun, the whole happenings. And then with VR, I saw a commercial. You know, like when I first started getting excited about VR, it was like literally through a commercial where I saw someone making art in VR, and I was like, "What? I need to figure out how to do that. Like that just looks cool." And then when I figured out that like now my material costs are cut in half, right? Or now my storage like situation is so different. Now I don't have to store like literal ceramic sculptures or literal like huge paintings, which I have that, and it's in storage, and it's not always easy to take care of. So this was really a good solution for me.
Very nice. And I guess I have a question that stems off of this, because it really seems that creating is your ethos. And is that where your moniker like stems from? The fact that you are a creator across the board rather than like, yeah, I guess that's my question. Is that where your moniker stemmed from?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. I couldn't call myself like a painter or like a sculptor. I mean, I could, but it just all seemed too specific to me. I never want to be known as just like Sarai, the artist, or creatress, the painter. And even now, I still feel like people know me as like the VR artist and performer. And even that seems like a little bit limiting, but I know that it's what I'm doing right now, and that's okay. So, but yeah, I think creatress really says it all.
I agree. I think it's a great name. I think it aptly encapsulates who you are and what you do. And I think it's very fitting. I didn't really know what else I wanted to add to that. I think I was trying to transition more smoothly into my next question, but I did it terribly. So without further ado, is there anything that you're currently working on that I have not pinned or did I pin? There's no way I pinned the same thing twice. Yep, I probably did. Awesome.
It's because I
found
pinned it first.
Oh, okay. My bad. I was like, there's no way I pinned the same thing twice. Okay. Um, but yes. Anyway, is there anything that you're working on now that you are currently like telling people about, that you're getting ready to roll out? What is currently on the plate for Creatress?
Oh, great question. Well, today specifically. I've been actually keeping an eye on. I made a proposal. So here, let me give you some background first. So when it comes to the performance art, specifically doing 3D sculpting in VR with the music and the live audience, um, that I've done about 25 performances, like in person, and I've worked with ETH Global. I've worked with My BFF, which is one of the founding communities you guys might have heard of. I've worked with 1111 Media, that's Paris Hilton's company, and I've worked with a bunch of different, you know, Web3 projects or brands or companies or whatever you want to call them. Um, and so I've gotten a chance to perform in a lot of different places. So a lot of these performances I did for free. They were free to attend, and then I just, I did it using my own funds. But after doing, like I said, 25, I've come to the place where I need help with funding to put on these free performances because I never really had the idea to put on ticketed events. That's never really been my vibe. I want to do this and I want to be supported by like the communities or the brands. I don't necessarily want to have to sell tickets to my friends who are also artists just to come see my performance. That's never really been the model that I wanted to go down. So what I found is communities like Nouns, who have these different opportunities for artists and community members to just put on proposals and they can help fund them. So this week, specifically today, the voting is happening. And one of the proposals I made was to bring a performance to ETH Denver and to NFT NYC. So if these pass, you guys will see me there, and I'll be putting on a few free performances. So just send your good juju. These are voted on by like a specific group of people who are part of the Nouns DAO. They're called the Gardeners. It's like 20 people. So I just have to hope that they read it and they like it and they vote for it. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been focused on this week. I also have a grant that I'm writing to also do something during NFT NYC. So yeah, just focused on trying to find funding mainly to do more performances in person this year.
Very, very nice. Um, my next question is that do you believe that every artist should have at least some tangible access point for their audiences to interact in their art that doesn't really have to equate to a direct financial transaction?
Yeah, I mean, what kind of examples are you thinking? Like showing
I
up
mean,
at
like,
events or
right. I was going to say that what you were talking about is such a great example of essentially what I'm asking about because you're determined to put your art in front of new people or audiences or whatever at a free entry point, which is you really can't beat that. But I was curious if you believe that like that is something that just is a net good for the art world and it would greatly benefit the entirety. It would be a net positive if more people had a tangible access point that they didn't have to shell money out for in order to have the full experience.
oh, I see. Yeah, no, 100%. I think in a perfect world, every artist would have the support they need to put on like their own show at some point. You know, whether it's, like having part of a gallery during a satellite event or just even being able to do like live painting at events. I think that's 100% like a net positive for the space. Like artists are the lifeblood of the space. And I've actually, I have friends who have gone and done live painting and people love that stuff. Anytime I do performances I get really good feedback as well. People seem to really enjoy seeing live art made, and so this is a call out to anyone who's hosting events. Like, try to work it into your budget to pay for some artists to come do their art. And it doesn't have to be painting, it doesn't have to be VR. Like, I've seen people draw on their tablet and hook that up to a projector or to a screen, and like, that's, you know what I'm saying, like, it doesn't have to be that. I also, like, I was drawing on a mannequin at one event randomly. It's like, it could be anything, I think. But just for the events, or maybe like sponsors for events, I don't know, just try to work it into your budgets, because I mean, no matter what the artist is doing, in terms of live art, like, they're putting their time and effort and expertise and like even their name on the line, and you know, going and doing something. So yeah, that's it's definitely something I want to see more of.
I just wanted to second that really quick, because Burrito had several artists live painting all at once in our NFT NYC event, and I definitely think that that was the highlight of the night. It definitely was for me. And yeah, it's just amazing to see people create art live, and it's amazing, especially to have multiple people doing it, because then you can start to see them interact with each other and add on to each other's pieces. So yeah, definitely a good takeaway from the space is have more artists performing live at your events.
Just have more spaces at your art events for art to take place. How about that? You know, like, I'm so tired of going to events where they're like, "This is the loudest. Everyone's here. You can't do anything but scream at each other." Like, I hate that shit. I truly despise it. Like, I don't want to go to an art event where I literally can't hear myself think. There's art on the wall. I want to be able to think about it. I want there to be a section where, sure, there's a thumping party going on, but I want that to not be the only reason why the art event is good. There was large attendance and it was loud. I like seeing art being made. I like seeing art being produced. I like seeing live performances, and dwarfing that with just attendance and noise, it does nothing for the space. So make sure that at your art events, you have a space for art to take place. Sorry, I got really passionate there for a second. But I truly think back to the burrito event very often, and the night at Loom Studios was like one of the best nights of my entire life, just for the variety of events that took place and all of the things that were happening. It was just amazing. So much art was created. So many people had such great experiences there. Like, it's awesome. So I really hope that in the future, Creatrix, we can get you at one of our events doing something, because I think it would be great and it really fits in with everything that we represent. So thank you for doing what you do, because it is inspiring. It is really awesome to see you bringing together so many elements and types of inspiration from your past and your career and everything. It's very cool to see you do what you do, because I think it is at the forefront of what a new emerging performance art industry will look like.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel like I'm just getting started, to be honest. My goal is to do this with live musicians, and I've gotten to do it with, you know, like a DJ in New York at Nebula nightclub in 2022, and I didn't know him at all. His name is EV, I guess, like DJ EV, or it's just EV. I think his artist name is just EV. But anyway, his music was great, and it really worked for the vibe that I like, and I had a really good time. But I want to do, like that made me think, I want to do this with an artist that I really like. Like, imagine if you could, I don't know, your favorite band. Just think of your favorite band, whoever it is, anyone who's listening. Just think of your favorite band. Imagine if you could make live art with them. And so that is my like ultimate next goal. And shout out to Laser, who's listening, and I know he's doing some art with musicians. I want to say Grammatic. Was it Grammatic? I think it is, and it's a musician that I really like. So like, that is so inspiring to me, to see my friends or just other artists in the space working on, like, on things like that are similar. In that way, it's just like, okay, it's possible. It's definitely possible.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what you do, especially with like musicians and artists you love? Because I've been a musician for about 10 years. I play guitar and I've played in some bands and I've done live shows and performances and stuff like that. And I'm someone that like loves when the audio and visual stuff comes together. I've known a few different artists like moving through the industry and stuff like that have tried to do that thing, and I think this ecosystem is honestly the perfect place for it because it's like a really good sort of intersect of technology and like different creative cultures and stuff. So I'm super excited to see what you do in that arena because yeah, your work is so cool. I've been going through it as we've been talking on the space, and it's fucking awesome. I've like I just in the last year I've realized how many people are painting in VR, and the fact that you're performing in front of people and painting, like, to me, I already get nervous enough when I like play guitar in front of people, so to actually like make art like that and do a whole performance art in front of people like that, I give huge props to anyone who can pull that off and do it as well as you can. So I'm super excited to see what else you do this year.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Austin. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've just like done it a bunch of times, but I get nervous every time. Like I literally like the first minute, well, maybe at least 30 seconds, my hands like shake. And thankfully it doesn't seem like the audience can tell. I've never heard anyone mention it, but like I have this like surge of energy that takes like a little bit to dissipate, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, you got to just shake it off and just get in the swing of things. I would deal with the same thing for the longest time. I had so many friends that would like get sick before they went on stage and all this stuff. But you clearly make it look, honestly, you make it look easy. So yeah, I had no idea. Honestly, I wouldn't have had any idea unless you said so. So yeah, that's fucking awesome.
I have a question for you. I'm sure that there are a good handful of people listening that have been curious about VR and how to get into 3D sculpting and stuff. And I'll say me included because I have tried to do 3D sculpting so many different times, and I have been intimidated by the UI every single time I have done it and given up. So, if there is any piece of advice that you can give anyone listening who is curious about VR or 3D sculpting, what would you say is the best advice to give someone so that they stick with it?
Watch the tutorials.
Okay, no, that's great.
Yeah, they're just so like at least okay. So I use Gravity Sketch, and so if anyone wants to try that out, it's in VR and it's free. Yeah, free. It used to be $30, but now it's free, which is really cool. So you can get that, and then you can also get it for iPad. So yeah,
Okay.
if you don't have a headset, you
Very
can
cool.
try it. Yeah, and on desktop. So yeah, look it
Nice.
up. It's free, and they have lots of tutorials.
Cool. I have an unrelated question now, but I love asking people this. Are you an artist that works from an idea or a feeling when you create a piece, or is it a mixture of the two?
Oh yeah, it's both. It depends. When it's a piece at home, it's usually I have an idea, there's a concept, I look up some images to have for reference. Sometimes I even you can actually bring in reference images to VR, to your VR studio. For anyone who doesn't know, it's like literally like if you had like a printout, but you're in VR and you can make it big and small and change the opacity, so you can bring in references. Um, so if I'm making something at home, usually I'm doing that. But when it comes to performing, the whole idea of the performance is to do like almost like a time capsule slash photograph of the energy in the space. So I'm kind of woo woo sometimes, I will admit. Kind of weird into some random things, but hear me out. So when all human beings have a heartbeat, right? And our heart also creates this electromagnetic pulse, right? And in fact, it's like a whole field that can be measured up to like 4 feet away from your body, right? So like our energy physically radiates out. And depending on if you're mad, I don't know if you've ever run into someone who's really mad or really upset. It like changes your mood. It can affect your mood as well, just interacting with them or being close to them, right? You've ever seen someone like grieving, for example. So the idea with my performance is that I try to go in there with no specific idea or subject. It's more to just like transmute the energy that I'm getting from everybody into color, into form, into shape, texture. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do is I guess like paint a picture, but really it's not a painting, it's a sculpture. And really it's not a picture, it's just like my interpretation of how it feels to have people dancing around me or clapping or making whatever noises they make nearby. So that's kind of the idea. Every sculpture looks totally different. It's a totally different abstract color, shape, form. I have a bunch of layers. Sometimes I put the names of people in the audience in the sculpture. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the elements of the VR performance sculpting that I like the most is that you are able to hide little Easter eggs and like really involve the crowd into the piece while you're working on it. And I just think that's so awesome. Like it's really a immersive experience that I don't think people would initially expect right away, but I feel that this is distinctly part of experiences engaging with media moving forward, where as we have these better glasses and technology for seeing these things, and it's not like you have to wear a doofy headset like to see everything, I feel that we're really going to get a large scale overhaul of these, even just like movies. Like you'll sit in like a regular like movie seat, but you'll put on a headset and then everything will just disappear around you and you're like in the movie. Like that's what the future of these immersive experiences are, and they give you unique opportunities to interact with your audience in ways that otherwise would not become so permanent in the final piece once you've finished it.
Yeah, I'm all about the shared experiences. I think there's something really cool about that. And yeah, there's literally layers in some of my sculptures that only people who were there have seen, because in the final product, when I mint the 3D NFT, only certain layers are available. So yeah, it's kind of a you had to be there thing, but also, I do get a chance to share some clips, which is always cool.
Yeah, I think that the unique, tangible element of that is something like I can't tell you how many times I see a headline where it's like, years later, we dissected this piece and found this Easter egg. And it's like, I feel like you are creating the next like layer of that experience by hiding things in your pieces like that. I think that's something that I really like. And I look forward to the evolution of that implementation in your work. Are there any new emerging technologies or techniques that you are most curious about integrating into what you're doing currently?
Let's see. I did see from CES that there's like a new screen that's like see-through. It looks just like glass. I think that would be really cool to perform in front of. Usually I'm in front of like a big screen, or sometimes I'm in front of a wall with like like a one of those those screens that comes down and is projected on. Sometimes I'm in front of a TV. So it varies, but I think it would be really cool to have a display that's just like a nice clean glass wall behind me, so to speak, and then just to have my feed from VR showing there. I think that would be really sick. Um, Planetarium type of performance I think would be really cool too. Like if I could perform and have my stuff projected in a planetarium dome style place. Obviously a sphere in Vegas, like that would be so dope to have any art on, let alone perform in there. Like holy crap. um yeah, like that's kind of the tech that I'm hoping to do stuff on. I would like to really do something where it's like on the side of a building, like really well projected. Or if it was one of those new buildings with like displays like all over one side of the building, that I think would be really sweet.
I think so too. I think that especially when you think about how the actual architecture could be incorporated into the piece, or even like the lights of the building or whatever, like there's so much interplay happening there between the environment and the work that is being created. And I think that's something to definitely really look forward to. Has there been anything that you have tried or experimented with that you just outright hated?
Oh, not really. No, not so much. I mean, okay, this is not really art related, but it is VR related. I did try VR roller coaster app, and holy cannoli, no, thank you. Like I got nauseous immediately. Um, that and actually the International Space Station. There's also an app on in VR for the International Space Station, and you can literally like float around. Like it's the experience of an astronaut in there, and that also made me nauseous. You're like in zero G, and the thing is spinning very
All right,
slowly around you. So it's not all bad.
yeah, that'll definitely disorient a good handful of people. But this is actually bringing me to another one of the questions that I had that I was gonna kind of hold off on until the latter half of the interview, but I suppose I'll bring it up now. Is, do you feel that there have been like any times where working in VR has like been painful? I know that I've heard people talk about like having the headsets on for so long, and after they take them off, they're like, my eyes literally hurt, dude. Like this is intense having a screen this close to your eyes at all times. So I was curious if you have encountered any of the downsides of working in VR.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, I'm not, honestly, I don't use it for long periods of time because it's like the headset that I have a couple, and I'm actually getting another one in the mail this week that I won on in a giveaway. Let's go talk about manifesting things. Um, yeah, I have, okay. The one that I use the most is the MetaQuest Pro, which is like the pro version of their best headset, right? Um, it works awesome, but after like 30 minutes, the way that they balanced it like pushes on the top of your forehead, and it's like in this one particular part, and it just hurts after a while. It's like uncomfortable after like 30 minutes, unless you put like something in between there, like a I don't know, like a little towel, or I don't know. One time I used a sock. It was a clean sock, okay, but yeah, it's kind of yeah, it's uncomfortable sitting on your face, that whole like weight, you know. And then the other thing, I wear glasses, y'all. Like I wear glasses. I'm a full-on nerd. I need glasses to drive. I need glasses to see further than 5 feet away from me, right? So I need glasses in VR too. It doesn't just go away, unfortunately. So I have to either like jam my glasses in there, make room for the glasses between my face and the headset. So that honestly doesn't it's not very comfortable. With the MetaQuest 2, they have these inserts you can buy, which is basically these custom lenses that you pop on. And so I actually went and bought those. They were like $100 to get them made.
Were they prescription?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, we're talking nerd level, like high.
Nah, that's what you need. I mean, that's not nerd. That's just commitment to the craft. I mean, I was gonna ask, like, do you think there would be a way to just like make the projection of the image to match people's prescriptions? Like, imagine if it only worked for like the person who was wearing the headset, because the image was like fine tuned to their exact like glasses settings or something.
That is next level. I don't know how they would be able to implement that, but yeah, like that would be cool. You know, if you had custom headsets. I think the closest we're gonna get right now is those custom lenses. But here's the thing: the custom lenses were only implemented for the Meta Quest 2, right? That was like the original Oculus, right? And this Meta Quest Pro doesn't even have the option to get those made. So now I have the better headset, but now I have to wear my glasses with the headset because they haven't like made a solution available yet. So it's it's interesting. It's a whole thing, but I love it. Like I said, I'm here for it. I don't plan on doing anything else for serious work in my life besides art and anything related to art. So I'm like, I might as well buy the lenses, if it's available. And if I have to wear my glasses, I'll wear my glasses for now. We'll see what the deal is with the Meta Quest 3. I haven't looked into the lens situation yet, but yeah, shout out to all my fellow glasses wearers out there.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge to incorporate into the headsets. I'm definitely interested in what the future of that will look like. I feel like eventually the technology will be so good that they're just in like regular glasses, and it's just like a universal experience like across the board of no matter what glasses you're wearing, you're able to like engage with whatever it is based on like your location or whatever.
Yeah, you're talking real futuristic. I haven't even onboarded to contact lenses yet. I think I might end up doing that first before that what you're describing happens.
I mean, to be fair, we might be talking about like futuristic concepts, but even just a year ago, I wasn't able to sit down and just create a thing out of like nothing by typing words or just speaking to my computer. So we've had some pretty intense technological advances, and I think that they're only going to get bigger and faster as time goes on because they all kind of just build upon what's already there. So who knows where we'll be at in a year's time from now.
That is true. That is true. We were not making AI art quite to this level 2 years ago.
Exactly. And Austin, I know I've been relatively in control of the mic and the questions, but I just wanted to make sure I give you an opportunity to ask anything that you might be curious about.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, and one of them actually was it kind of reminded me of the like you mentioned the lenses for the the Quest. You can get the custom lenses that are prescription, and I saw that Apple is they're basically allowing you to do basically the same thing for the Apple Vision Pro. And I think it's about the same price that you mentioned. I think it's like $100. And I was curious what your thoughts are on the Apple Vision Pro because like I'm kind of confused as to whether it's more VR or AR, and I've been trying to read about it when I have time to do so. But I wanted to hear your thoughts on the headset and if you're planning on trying it. And yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely excited for it. I 100% am not going to buy it. I don't currently have the 3800 or whatever it is.
Same.
Yeah, unfortunately, right? This Web3 salary ain't gonna cut it. What salary? Anyway, yeah, it's okay. So I have watched, I did watch the Apple keynote stuff on it, and yeah, it's mixed reality, right? You can toggle between virtual reality and mixed reality. They have like a little dial on the side, so you can like almost imagine like if you're turning up or down the opacity on the screen that you have in front of you, right? So if you turn it down enough, you can see like the objects around you, so you don't knock into things, and then you can see people, so you're not like so isolated. So I like that. With the headset that I have, the Quest Pro, it's same kind of deal. There's no dial, but like you can go from full VR to pass through. Sorry, I had an alarm go off. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're
good.
Okay. Yeah, so right now with the Quest Pro, like I was saying, you can go from full reality, full virtual reality to mixed reality, where it's like the virtual reality stuff is overlaid on top of your environment, right? And actually, that's one of the things I do in the performances. Now that I have this new headset, I can like go back and forth where I can see the audience, where I cannot see the audience. And when I'm in mixed reality and I can see the audience, they can see themselves too, because that live feed is showing on the screen. So there is that part of the audience participation where they see themselves on screen, and that just feels kind of like breaking the fourth wall and like really bringing them into the art. Just forgot to mention that, but yeah, I think the Apple headset's going to be really cool. I don't love that it's like tethered to something. It's like got a cable, and so that seems kind of iffy because I do like to dance during my performances, so that would be like a little bit of a concern for me. But yeah, I would love to try it. I'm planning on trying it whenever I go to an Apple store in the next year. There's no Apple store anywhere near me. I live in Maui, so we don't get like all the fancy Apple malls situation. I think the nearest one is in like the Big Island, and I don't know. Flying to the Big Island just to go demo the Vision and the Pro seems a little excessive. I don't know. So I don't know when I'm gonna try it. Probably if I go to Denver and if I run across an Apple store, or maybe in New York, maybe they'll have them for demos. But yeah, I thought about doing a GoFundMe for Vision Pro, but that just seems kind of like a little bit ridiculous when there's like real things that people need help with. So but it would be nice to try it. In case any Apple people hear this, send one my way. I would definitely rock it to all my performances.
Yeah, you never know like who's out there watching and who'd be willing to like, give you a chance to try it. I think that's what is really cool about this space is there are a lot of people that can kind of just seemingly come out of the woodwork and be like, yo, I really enjoy and appreciate what you're doing creatively and want to support you. And yeah, like you never know, honestly. So but I'm really interested to see what they do with it. I kind of think Apple is sort of doing the early adopter thing where they're putting this technology out, and they're gonna, I mean, again, I'm no expert analyst on these things, but I feel like they're probably gonna make this model for early adopters. And as time goes on, I'm sure they'll probably hopefully make the tech a bit cheaper so more people can get access to it. And I don't know, like I would love to see a future where VR really does take full center stage, and I could see it happening. And I feel like Apple would be the company to really do that. But yeah, like Meta has definitely been on the ball, obviously. And that kind of leads me to my next question, which is for anyone that wants to get into like sculpting in VR, which I'm one of them. I want to try it. Like I've drawn and painted and done art my whole life. I've experimented with all kinds of mediums. Obviously, like I mentioned, music and stuff like that. I really want to try it, and I would love to hear your recommendations on where someone like me that wants to try it, that has never done anything like this in VR, where they would start at in terms of like getting a headset. Like, do you have a recommendation for a good entry level headset, and what would that be if you could get into that?
Yeah, for sure. I still think that the original Oculus model that Meta bought out, they came in when they had the Oculus, but they called it Oculus. Meta called it the Meta Quest 2, and I still think that's the best bang for your buck. Now, they just came out with a Meta Quest 3, which is like the in between the two and between the Pro, right? It's got like a mix of the different features, right? It's like, so I haven't tried it yet. I will try it really soon. Like I mentioned, I won one in a giveaway. So maybe my opinion will change once I try that. I think that one comes it's about $500. The MetaQuest 2 I think is about $300. So it's like a little bit of a price difference, but I think it might be worth going for the 3 at this point. But yeah, I would say the Meta Quest 2 like would be perfectly fine to start with though. And yeah, it's about $300, and all you need is Gravity Sketch. And like I mentioned earlier in the space, it's a free app. So really, the main investment really is just the headset, and then once you got that, you can get the app for free. You have a bunch of different YouTube tutorials, and like literally the first thing you do when you open up Gravity Sketch in VR, it's like they make you do a tutorial. I mean, you could skip it, but like it's like right there. It's like come here. Let me show you how to make a really cool motorcycle. And it's like got some voice walkthroughs, and like they do a really good job. So I made my kid like get in there and try it. Like he used to only do VR games, but I was like, come on, dude, just try it. Try this out. Like you could do it. And he's like, I remember his hesitation at first because he's like, what do I do? I don't know where any of the controls are. Like, how do I even like, you know? And kind of like how I felt the first time I saw Photoshop. I was like, what? So, yeah, and he tried it and he was able to do a few things. He made like the old school S. I don't know if you guys remember that like that not calligraphy,
Oh, yeah.
but you know the S
The
that
6
everybody
line S.
drew. Exactly. In elementary is cool. We're taking it way back. So anyway, he was able to do that in VR within like 2 sessions. So if he can do it, Austin, and anyone listening, I think you guys could do it because he's only 11, and I think everybody here is older than that.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, it sounds like it's actually pretty accessible, at least more accessible than VR as a whole was, even I think like 3 to 4 years ago. Because I remember there was a time where you had to have like a pretty decent PC to get it up and running, and there were no standalone headsets. And of course, that was before I think Meta bought out Oculus, and I think there was like the HTC Vive, and I remember things like that. And I always wanted to get a headset, but I could never justify it. But yeah, like now it seems like it's easier than ever, and it sounds like the software is super intuitive. So I made notes, so I'm gonna do my research and try and start saving up for this, and probably make it my next artistic venture, because I love what you're creating, and there's so many artists that have created really really cool stuff in VR. So I appreciate you giving me the info.
Yeah, anytime. Always happy to share some sauce and put people on to VR art of all kinds.
All right. Well, I didn't want to cut Austin off, and I'm glad that I don't have to. So I'm jumping in now, and I'm saying if anybody wanted to come up on stage, ask a question, feel free. We are in the last couple of minutes here, so as we wind down, we would like to give anyone who may be curious an opportunity to come on up and ask whatever they would like, so long as Creatress is okay with that.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions, or if anyone wants to drop a question in the chat bubble too, if you can't come up. But yeah, I'm really stoked. I was glad to hang out with you guys, and I know you guys showed one of my artworks too. Maybe let me see if I can pull it up. But you guys did a call for art for Miami last month. Yeah, just last month. It seems like so long ago. But yeah, just wanted to say thank you for showing my art out there.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you for submitting. We are always grateful for high quality submissions from wonderful artists like yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. And that one, the one that I submitted was a piece called "Who Are You?" Let me see if I can find it. It's on my pinned tweet. Yeah, that one was made in VR actually, and it's a 3D sculpture as I usually do. And that one's minted on Manifold. So I'm gonna drop a link here for you guys to check it out. Please go look at it. It is a 3D interactive sculpture, so you can actually turn it around, and as you turn it, it looks totally different depending on what angle you're looking at it from. And then also you can zoom in like into it pretty big. Like you can have it full screen and like look at all the small details, and I highly recommend it. Here, I'm gonna pin it up top. There we go.
Thank you so much. And we have brought up authored style, as well as there was a question posted on the Twitter thread, which is also great. So I'm gonna go with that one first, just because authored style is up here with us. So from Janu Ish, we have, what does your dream performance look like? And have you considered the future of holographic chambers?
Oh, holographic chambers. I wonder what that means. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Let me look it up.
I don't know either.
Is that like the proto hologram thing? I wonder. Google's not giving me anything really good. But my future performance, my like
No. Like, what
dream.
is, yeah, I was gonna say, what is like your no restrictions, totally ideal performance like for you?
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I could even answer that. But I'll tell you what comes to mind, and something that's been on my mind for a while. I would really like to perform a song or two during a Beyonce concert on stage with Beyonce, or Shakira, or Taylor Swift, or Selena. I know Selena's not alive anymore, but yeah, like those are my like top kind of like female artists that I like. So that would be my ideal. Like Beyonce's at the top. Probably Shakira right after her, and then Taylor. I think they've all done incredible things in their own right in music, and yeah, something like that. Like I would like to go on tour with one of them, or maybe at a really big festival. I got to see Steve Aoki play at Ultra. One of my friends actually took me to see him, and we had artist passes, so we got to see it. Like we were on stage, backstage, while he was playing at Ultra, and oh my gosh, like the energy there was insane. So I would like to perform at Ultra. Like that would be one place I think that I'd like to perform at. But if I really sat here and thought about it, I would actually change my thing to say performing at the Sphere with almost any musician, honestly, would be really cool. Like the Sphere in Vegas, like that. Like me inside the Sphere, and the music being one of those people that I mentioned, or someone else. Like that would be my ideal. And I have to do a shout out too. There's this one artist, his name's David Garibaldi, and he just went on a small tour with Andrea Bocelli, who is like, I don't know if you know.
Wow.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that I was watching, and I was like, holy crap. And I think he did like 10 different like cities and concerts with him, and he painted live, and then he sold the painting at the end. Like Andrea Bocelli would like sign the painting, and then they would like auction it off. Like that would be wild. But also like not just the Sphere, I would like to do like a concert here in Hawaii like sometime. Like I think that would also be really cool. But so now I've given you like 3 different dream performance ideas, but yeah, I want to do it all, honestly. I want to try it all, and yeah, I'm excited for what's to come.
I'm also very excited for what's to come, but I wanted to turn it over to Authored Style real quick to see if you had a question or just wanted to say hey.
Hey, you hear me?
Yeah, you're good?
No, Creatress is awesome. I really appreciate all the things that she's doing. It just kind of shows people all the things that you can do if you have that drive to do it. So appreciate it. I just wanted to ask you, because you were saying you had an 11-year-old. My son just turned 12. Is there any applications on the MetaQuest that you would suggest for a kid that age?
Oh, yeah, it just depends on what they're into.
So the space got rugged at this point, and the host from Burrito DAO spun up a
So
quick
sorry
second
about
space.
that.
Here
I
it is.
really have no clue what happened. But we're back.
Yeah, no, that was just. I mean, I know we got a little notification, but it felt like it was out of nowhere. It felt like the connection was pretty
Yeah.
stable. I didn't hear like any gaps or lag or anything really.
Yeah, it happens at least like 3 times a week when I'm hosting and doing spaces. Never fails to happen at the worst times.
But we're gonna. I guess I don't want to give people too much time to filter back in. I want to be respectful to Creatress's time, and I don't want to make us just hang around too long to say goodbye. But I figure we'll give it like a minute or two, and then we'll just kind of wrap things up. Sorry about that again, Creatress. Oh, well, they just requested, so the space is still running yet. So I'm glad to see it. Janu Ish, would you like to elaborate on what you meant?
Yes. Hi, everybody. When I mentioned holograms in a holographic chamber or a holodeck, basically there's companies now that have achieved like not super large scale yet, but like real holograms, like objects made out of light, like in the middle of a room filled with like people. I put in the other space on the comments an example of the company that I was referring to that I think, I don't know, I just would like to hear Creatress's reaction to the possibilities that, being able to sort of bring the VR to the really mixed reality of a stage like that, right? Like where people can look over their shoulder and a stroke of Creatus like just happens, and they see dynamically the painting happening all around them, like physically, and not just like on a projection of the screen. That was sort of what I was really curious and low-key excited about. Can I really quickly expand on the first question, or maybe Mo Ronda goes first and then I circle back? I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, all right.
Okay. So there's this MIT Media Lab is currently working on haptic holograms, and they have it like working really well. Like you can feel the light objects, and they manage to make them like you can feel like tingles. Some of them feel kind of rough. Some of them feel like silky. I wonder like if you would consider incorporating texture like in a near future if you got like approached to do like a live demonstration of their technology and the creative applications on your practice. You know, if there's a bunch of people, even though it's not like a huge crowd probably, um being painted like holograms around it, would you play with textures, or would it be just like a thing that you think is like too interactive and would like break the sort of like spectator nature of your usual audience?
Whoa. You got to get like a fog machine. So like, no, but like if you put the fog machine, if like you set it up and then you put the essential oils in it, it will diffuse the scent into the performance area, so you wouldn't need to disperse the scent sticks. Oh, anytime. Workshopping ideas with other creatives is like one of the most rewarding experiences. But before we get too distracted again, I would like to give Morunda an opportunity to ask her question or just say hello. So Morunda, the mic is yours.
Hello. Hi, creatress. I love this girl. I just wanted to say I heard you mention that you would like to perform at one of the big festivals, and I saw it just popped up on Instagram. Have you ever heard of Afterlife Festival in Tulum? Because huge, yeah, your performance would be incredible there, because it usually has like the big screen, but then the screen is like shaped either square or circle, and it's just like almost like fantastic atmosphere, like not fantastic, fantasy, you know. So I think that your work on that screen would be incredible.
Well, thank you very much, Miranda. We appreciate you for coming up and showing some love. Janu, thank you so much for jumping up here and asking a very thoughtful question. Creatress, thank you so much for rejoining us for the end of this space. And if anybody else has any questions, now is the time to get them out, as well as Creatress. You have the final word on whatever you'd like to talk about. And if there's anything you feel that we have not talked about that you are just clamoring to get out there, please, by all means, feel free to get it out there now. Anytime. Oh, anytime. You are always welcome. It would be very cool if we could set up some more panel discussions in the future and get some VR ones running. We would be happy to have you there. You provide some very wonderful insight, and you're a very positive person, so it would be wonderful to have you there. Yeah, no problem. And I just thought of something that I wanted to ask you about actually. Have you ever considered doing like a performance where you're actually not the one wearing like any like basically what I'm give me 1 second. I have the idea. I gotta put the sentences together in the right order. So basically it would be a performance that essentially has a pre-recorded 3D rendering that would accompany a live performance by you where you are just like the dancer, and the audience is wearing like VR headsets or glasses that allows them to see the 3D elements that you made as you are like doing the performance without being responsible for creating the art in the moment. Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. I totally understand. I think I'm enamored by the idea of a performance happening with performers on stage, and they have nothing with them. Like they don't have any props. They're not wearing like any sort of elaborate garment. They're just doing this performance while the people with like the headsets or the glasses on see all of the art that's happening around them, thus giving like life to the performance in a new dimension. Yeah, no problem. And we have one more request, but I know that we're over time. So if you have to go, Creatress, we might just wrap it up. But if you have time for one more, Wiz is requesting to come on up. All right, this is the last one. So, Wiz, if you got a question, feel free to ask it. I am bringing you up on stage now. But other than that, thank you everyone for still rocking with us. Appreciate you. We know there's a lot you could be doing out there with your time, and we're very grateful you decided to continue hanging out with us, even though we rugged before. What's up, Wiz?
Yo, what's poppin'?
Nothing much. We are giving you the floor to ask the last question of the evening.
Oh, damn. Like, I'm being put on the spot here then. I was listening to the previous one on the computer, and then as Rug will have it, got yanked out, so I'm back here. I'm curious to know your thoughts on the Apple Vision Pro that's scheduled to be released, and what impact that will really have really on the mainstream users. Because I really feel that, again, this is my personal opinion, I think this whole VR stuff is a little bit overhyped. Does it have a market? Yeah, but like, I'm being sold this premise that apparently everyone's gonna have a headset on their, noggins, and I don't know, man. I'm not really buying it, but maybe you feel differently as someone who uses that technology quite a bit in your workflow. I will say it's pretty interesting that the convergence of tech that's currently happening is weirdly solving some problems that VR proposes. Like for example, how do you create new landscapes from scratch? And apparently, Midjourney can do that right now, right? You can basically create a 360 landscape and import it into a 3D application of your choice, and it works. So I think having this cooperation between like these different types of techs and how they work, that's really the way to go. But as far as like the mass adoption element goes, especially from like the average consumer, like you mentioned, if it's a high price tag, whether it's like subscription based or just hardware based, yeah, man, that stuff is not really gonna fly. I mean, even for me, bro, like 1300 for like one of these way bad boys, nah, bro. I would rather buy a PS5.
And that's the end of the interview.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Creatress, thank you so much for being here and bearing with the technical difficulties. Austin, thank you for stepping in. Joe, thank you for running the space back on us again. And for everyone else, thank you for sticking around. We really appreciate it. We'll see you guys at the next one. And as always, that's a wrap.